Hey everybody, welcome back to RBL Weekly, the show where we look back at some of the best battles from across the Roast Battle League. I am the RBL Commissioner, Pat Barker, joined as always by the amazing Sarah Keller. Now, we're going to jump right into it this week. If you remember last week, we were watching the first Roast Battle League mega event. It took place at the Comedy Store on Halloween night, and there was just too much to talk about. And we kind of ran out of time. I didn't shut the fuck up. That's on me. But we have a couple battles left, so we wanted to stretch it out, give them all the time and attention that they deserve. So we're going to jump right back into it. We got two battles left. First up is the semi-main event. And, you know, when we conceived the Roast Battle League, when we talked about it, we had all these cool ideas, one of which was take the best roast battlers from around the world and get them in one place to face each other. And it's a pretty massive undertaking that I know you know more than anybody. Because you're in charge of, like, the logistics of it. Real quick, explain to me what it's like when we say, all right, we're going to do this thing. Get this dude from London. I don't even think he was in London at the time.
No, he was in Barcelona.
Okay, so tell the story. We're talking about Ken Grinnell, the co-champion from London, and what happened.
So we have 9 battlers flying into LA, coming in from all over the place. Farthest is Ken Grinnell coming from supposed to be London, but then he messages us and is like, nah, I'm going to be coming from Barcelona, and I have to fly him in a couple days early so that, you know, he can get here because it takes 16 hours in an airplane, and also, like, not have to walk on stage after traveling for 16 hours. So I figure out how to get him here and then back home to London. And I mean, I don't know how much detail I need to go into, but, like, then, you know,
it's a busy job.
It's
and a challenging job.
And you've got battlers that are coming in from all over that are coming to LA. Some of them for the first time. Some of them this is a big opportunity for them to do shows out here because they are being flown out here, and
sure.
they can have an opportunity to be on different stages in Los Angeles for the first time. So I also want to be sensitive to that and be like, hey, do you guys want to fly in? Like, what dates do you want to fly in, and what dates do you want to fly out? Because a lot of them want to stay for 3, 4, or 5 days. So then I have to figure out, okay, if I were to fly them in the day of the battle and fly them out the next day, what would that cost? Cool. That's how much I can spend on how many days they want to be here, and be like, look, it would be $350 to fly in the days that we need you. You're asking for a $450 ticket, so you're going to have to cover that difference. But then I got to figure out, now these people want extra hotel room days, and so then I got to coordinate with our group, like, rate to be like, hey, will you extend the group rate beyond one night for these 3, 4, 5 other people that want to pay for their own rooms?
What we're trying to say is we need your donations now more than ever. If you call in the next 30 minutes, we'll throw in a free tote bag with every donation.
I legitimately have so many, like, Ralph's tote bags. They won't be logoed or anything, but I'll send you a grocery bag.
Yeah, absolutely. Whole Foods, whatever you want. Dealer's choice. Trader Joe's, we could do that.
I was like, Whole Foods? You got Whole Foods money?
My wife has Whole Foods money. I just tag along. But no, it's a very involved job, but I know the people who are on the receiving end of this are so appreciative, and I saw Ken, and what a dream come true for this guy doing Roast Battle London. He gets flown out to Barcelona to judge their roast battle. They reached out to him, so that's why he was there.
Oh, okay.
And then he gets flown out to LA to battle, and I know it was a dream come true. I haven't actually seen the battle, so I'm excited about this because he's going against another guy that I love, Humphrey from New York, who we've seen a couple times on this show, always kills it. So we have New York versus London in LA. It's really a cool thing that we were able to do, and I'm excited to check it out. So let's check it out.
Ken's half black and half Irish, so he only eats pussy if it's fried or boiled.
That's true. Derek eats anything. This is Derek. He's from Ohio. His dad, uncle, and sister all died in a drug overdose, or as they put it, best orgy ever.
That's why I wasn't invited. Ken's a chef. His favorite salad dressing is Neverland Ranch.
Derek's he's got a weird look going on. This is because his dad is French and his mum is an elephant seal. She wanted to be here tonight, but Derek borrowed her mobility scooter, so...
Joke's on you being found in there because being a victim. Ken has 18 siblings, which is weird because I only remember fucking his mom 17 times.
It's true. Derek also comes from a big family. There isn't a lot of them, they're just big. So yeah, Derek used to drink, but now he's gone sober. Unlike the woman he pays for sex. I'm joking, of course. She would never charge her own son.
I love it, sense of humor.
Ken puts the gay in reggae. Ken's half Jamaicans, but never been to Jamaica before. The only islands he's ever visited was Jeffrey Epstein's.
So yeah, Derek was raised Catholic, but left due to lack of sexual advances. He's the kid that priests thought about to stop themselves coming too quick.
No, Ken's British, he's half Jamaican, half Irish, or as the Queen refers him, the N-word.
Oh, too soon, too soon. Funny, but too soon.
I'm the diversity that Derek's gene pool desperately needs. So yeah, this is Derek. He quit his job as a manager. Quit playing sports. He also quit 4 different colleges. His sister died of an overdose, just to be known as the one that finishes what they started.
So there you have it. The only truly international battle of the first RBL mega event. There will be more events and international battles, and I'm looking forward to them because I thought it was a lot of fun. What was your main takeaway from the battle?
My main takeaway, the biggest overarching thing I thought was the difference in styles, which we've talked about a lot or a little bit on this podcast of how in England they seem to have a lot more words and the jokes take their time and the audiences are patient and wait for them, where especially in LA, New York even is a little bit longer and a little bit more drawn out. LA, we're very word economy, get to the punchline. And so I thought this showed the difference in those styles and highlighted it because Ken took his time. His jokes had several punchlines. There was one I thought that could have been shorter because I saw where it was coming too quickly, and now I can't remember what one it was. It was the second to last one.
Okay.
But he was successful in it. So that was my main thing, and then I have specifics. But.
And I do think, and we'll get to the specifics in a minute, but to speak to that point, one of the things that really impressed me is because we've seen London. I would say usually it's even longer.
Yes, yeah, he definitely adapted.
He did, and that was the main takeaway I had was I thought they both did a good job consciously trying to adapt to the LA style, and they knew their audience and they knew the crowd and they knew what their goal was, which was I got to tighten this thing up. And I thought that they did that. I mean, it was obviously a little bit longer still than we would see typically in LA, but it was almost like a hybrid. It was Ken found a really nice pocket, a nice middle ground, and was able to hit a couple of punchlines and didn't lose the crowd at any point. I thought his jokes were great. I thought they were creative. I thought he really impressed me. And we've seen him before, and he's impressed me there. But to go on the road however many kilometers from home and deliver that kind of performance. I thought was great. Let's get into some specifics. What did you? I see you take a lot of notes. You're very thorough. I just watch and kind of laugh. You're here taking notes. I see something vile in bold up top. So let's get into it.
That's just because Notes puts the top line in bold.
And what does it say?
Only eats pussy.
Only eats
in
pussy.
Bold.
Sarah is a professional. Giant font on her phone. Only eats pussy. Let's get into it. What do you think?
Well, that wouldn't have been what I'd start with, but now I have to start with eating pussy.
No, you don't. It was just a bit. What joke stood out to you? What did you love?
Well, I thought it was an interesting choice that Derek started with 2 food-related jokes. Not the one you would think to start with 2 food-related jokes about the other person. Also, we've talked about the only eats pussy when it's covered in blah, blah, blah here. So that, to me, when Derek opened with that, I was like, it immediately kind of set him up me up against him a little bit. So I just want to say that right away. But I thought he recovered, who doesn't love a good mom fucking 17 times joke? I loved it. I thought that was a really creative way to be like, yeah, and I fucked your mom. I enjoyed that a lot. How about you, Pat? What?
Well, I love the simplicity of the mom fucking joke. It goes against everything that I would typically do in a roast battle, which is why I think I gravitate towards stuff like that. Like, I could sit there with the idea that he has 18 siblings and stare at that fact for 3 weeks and try to come up with, I'd be Googling things that are 18.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not that. That's a weird turn of phrase. But phrases involving the number 18. Yeah. And I would be like, maybe I could turn it into a math problem or whatever. And, I would try to come up with the most complex way to deliver that joke. And he's just like, yeah, dude, I fucked your mom. And that was way better than anything I would have been able to come up with. So I loved that one. I thought that Derek's, I enjoyed the twist on the eating pussy because it's not a condiment on the pussy. It's a preparation style.
That's true.
Maybe we're getting into semantics here, but I enjoyed that. I just thought Ken's jokes were a little bit more layered. And came from angles I didn't see coming, like the pussy thing we talked about, but also the ending with setting up the island thing. It's and this isn't fair. I'm not being fair right now because the audience, their brains don't work like ours.
Yes.
Our brains work in disgusting, terrible ways. So when somebody is like island, I'm like Epstein.
Yeah.
He's gonna say Epstein.
He literally called it out. Yeah. Folks, he was like Epstein, and he has not heard it or seen it yet.
No, it's just, and it's just one of those things. But that's not to say he didn't do great. I thought they both did really, really well, and I look forward to having them back for more events.
I agree. I thought they were both fantastic. I think from a logistical note, Derek's 4th joke was about reggae. He puts the gay in reggae, and then his 5th joke set up that that Ken is Jamaican and British, and I would have swapped those two so that we spoon-fed the audience he's Jamaican, now I'm gonna make a reggae joke, because I was like, where did reggae come from? It felt very out of left field for me, and it didn't hit as hard because I was like, you're just saying words now.
That's a great note. That's really, because a lot of times I think people just they write the jokes and then they're almost pick them at random, or they're I know this is my closer. But so much of the battle can be sort of telling a story and painting a picture, and the order you do that in is really, really important.
I totally agree. I think order is, because your jokes are interrupted by the other person's jokes, a lot of people maybe don't think about it as a story. You're creating an arc. You're doing a roast battle is a roast. It just is interrupted by the other person's jokes. So if you watch a roast on Comedy Central, there's an arc and a narrative to their roast. So think about that, everybody, when you're planning your battle.
And speaking of interruptions, thank you to Jeff Ross for your queen bit. That we chop. We have our editor Cody chop the battles up beforehand. So it was just little bit. I'm sure it went on way longer in the room. But just little bits of Jeff going, "Ooh, I'm the queen," and then cut off and go to the next joke. It was just a little sprinkling of Jeff Ross's queen impression. Nicely done, Jeff.
So great. One final thing I'll say is I missed a couple of Ken's jokes because he has a very quiet, low voice and an accent. So I guess my note for Ken is like, I want to hear everything you're saying because everything I can hear is amazing. So really over enunciate, project even louder when you're in a place because we're dumb Americans and we're like, what?
Yeah, dude, lose the accent,
Yeah.
bro.
No,
Enough
I don't
of this
mean that.
British
I just
shit.
mean like
no, I know what you're
talk
saying.
loud. Like his voice is so deep, it's already hard to hear. Like
It was interesting. It felt like they really enunciated their jokes, but then there were sort of like conversational rebuttals.
Yes, that
they
weren't.
kind of like mumbled a little bit. Maybe they didn't have total confidence in them.
exactly.
But it was just kind of like, yeah, that was a nice joke. Well, yeah,
exactly.
Derek, blah 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 blah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Like, and if you don't have a voice like mine that's grating and cuts through everything, you have to be conscious of that.
Well, speaking of cutting through everything, let's get to the main event and somebody who has been cutting their way through all of the competition since she debuted. We're talking about the reigning and defending, at the time, foreshadowing, Chicago main event champion, Grace Leichmann. She's been in the roast game for about a year, maybe a little more,
That's
maybe a little
bonkers.
less, and has destroyed everybody put in her path. And when we conceived this roast battle event, that was the first battle I thought of. I want to see what happens when you put her against Joe Urell, who is a crowd favorite at Roast Battle and has been for many, many years, one of the greatest people to ever do it. We've both battled him. It's not...
We both lost to him?
Yeah, I've lost to him for sure. Forget, this is no shitty pun intended, but battling him is not a walk in the park at all.
No.
A roll in the park,
It's
whatever you want to
hard.
say. He's one of the greatest. So when I saw an opportunity to take Grace and put her against Joe Urell, had to take it. And I'm so excited to see this one. Let's just go for it. Grace Leichmann, Joe Urell, Chicago versus LA. Let's get it going.
I'm really excited, Joe. And let's give Joe a round of applause for coming here. A lot of you don't know he is recovering from falling off the horse whose teeth he stole.
I might be special ed, but you look like Mr. Ed. I'm kidding. Grace's father was Scottish, and her mother was a giraffe.
Since it's Halloween, I want to share a spooky fact about Joe. If you play a recording of his jokes backwards, it sounds exactly the same.
Grace doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke, she has no hobbies. How are you straight edge but so dull?
Thank you, Steve-O Hawking.
You're welcome to bitchy bowling ball.
Joe is so unfuckable, even his hands are flaccid.
I wouldn't fuck you if I could. Grace loves to go hiking, but she has to quit because she kept getting mistaken for Sasquatch.
Joe sells paintings on Instagram. Joe sells paintings on Instagram, which is wild because he looks like if Picasso got into sculpting.
That's a good art joke. Grace actually has a big ass. And by that I mean that she has a long ass.
Joe released 30 minutes of stand-up online for free, and in it he talks about assisted suicide. Joe, if you ever get someone to help throw you off a building, I bet people would pay to watch that special drop.
I don't have to worry about that because most rooftops are not very accessible. Christian because of how many times she gets Holy Ghosted.
Damn.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Totally fitting as the main event of the evening. I have some thoughts. I saw you furiously typing away, taking your notes. So just take it away. Get us started. What did you think?
Honestly, I don't have as many notes as I was just writing down all the jokes I liked, which were all of the jokes.
I see a lot of flame emojis.
So many flame emojis. I just figured out how to search emojis on my keyboard, and I'm very excited about it.
It's adorable.
It's fine. I guess the thing that jumped out at me first was Grace had a teeth joke that worked.
I thought the same thing. Was it last week? We talked about
Yes.
how there's certain types of jokes that never work, and I said with all the confidence in the world, like teeth jokes, you could never pull off a teeth joke. They never work.
And she fucking nailed it.
Opened with it and crushed it. God damn it.
Yeah, that was my first takeaway. The special drop made both Pat and I go, oh, which I don't think you and I have made that sound in a long time at a roast battle where it's like, oh, that was fucking brutal and brilliant.
Yep.
That was one of the meanest, best written jokes. And then for Joe to follow it up with rooftops aren't accessible, I mean,
Joe is
Jesus.
incredible at owning who he is and using it to his advantage. He knows what kind of jokes are coming. He knows he's not afraid to attempt to rebuttal in the moment. It doesn't always work, but when it does, it's outstanding. And for him to still have the crowd sort of in the palm of his hand at that point, after a battle where, I think it's pretty clear Grace was on fire. She was on another level.
Yep.
Joe was excellent, as always, but Grace was having a career performance, and I've been in that situation where you're kind of getting slapped around a little bit, not because of anything you're doing, but because the other person is just elevated. And it's really hard at that point to sort of stay in the moment and still control the crowd the way Joe was. So, I mean, congratulations to him for that, I think.
I agree. Yeah.
Couple things that stood out to me. Number one, I think we need to address the elephant in the room and just get it out of the way. There were issues with Joe's wheelchair. Joe has a wheelchair that weighs, I believe, in excess of 500 pounds. It is massive. And there was an issue getting him onto the stage. Of course, normally we do this in the belly room, and Joe has been doing that for many years, and he has, a system in place to sort of get up on that stage. The main room in the Comedy Store is a little bit different. There were opportunities, I believe, if he had been in maybe a different wheelchair, but he brought the one of them's motorized and one of them's a put. I don't know all the deals, and I wasn't here for this event, but unfortunately, they had to sit Joe on a regular chair, which sucks for Joe, and I feel terribly about that, and frankly, apologies on behalf of the roast battle. And that's an awkward position for him to be in. And he made the best of it, and he still... And I think that rebuttal, frankly, about the wheelchair accessible worked even better.
I agree.
Because of that.
And I think it came from that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. He was in that moment, and he turned it into something really, really cool. And but one thing I'll say from a battle perspective, because from a human perspective, obviously that sucks for Joe, and I feel terrible. From a battle perspective, because in some ways I'm just a nerd who has to revert back to this. Grace Leichmann battled Joe Urell and did 5 jokes, and not one of them involved a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Not one. She did not mention the wheelchair once. She mentioned his cerebral palsy. She mentioned, his hands. She mentioned various things about his condition, but at no point did she have a joke that was dependent upon him being in a wheelchair.
Wow, I never even thought about that.
Which is crazy. It's crazy no matter how it happened. Because there's a world that I'm living in where maybe she had those jokes and he wasn't in a wheelchair and she had to call an audible. But I think more than likely, she just did not want to lean on the wheelchair. And it paid dividends, because if she had 5 wheelchair jokes and he wasn't in a wheelchair, she might have been fucked.
Yep. Yeah, I think either way, whether it was a coincidence that she didn't have any wheelchair jokes or a conscious decision in a last-minute switch, brilliant.
Either way, it speaks to how impressive she is, because just the act of battling Joe Urell and being like, I'm not doing any wheelchair jokes, is that in and of itself deserves kudos. And if she had them and then called an audible, that's impressive in a whole different way. So just like really, really great stuff, really well-written jokes. She's continually impressed me, and Chicago has continually impressed us, and we've spoken sort of at length about the job that they're doing in regards to everything from a technical perspective. Their footage always looks the best. They have the fastest rising scene. They have some of the best new battlers that I've seen. And, you know, I don't know what our plans are. Frankly, we don't plan ahead that much. I don't know if we're doing a year-end wrap-up show. I don't know if we're going to hand out awards or anything like that. But I just want to go on record right now and say that if we were doing that, and we might, Grace Leichmann and Chicago would be cleaning up this year. No disrespect to anybody else, but no individual battler and division has impressed me as much as Grace and Chicago.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just kudos to them.
Yeah, for her to come in on Joe's turf and battle Joe Urell and put on the performance that she did, I'm speechless, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. She took down a legend. I mean,
Yep.
Joe is a legend. There's no way around it. He's one of the absolute greatest to ever do it. And yeah, she went in and won, you know, decisively. Mm-hmm. And he did good. So to battle somebody who does good and beat them decisively, it speaks really highly of you as a performer. And of course, last episode, the best battle of that episode was Dan Wicks from New York versus Jessica Misra from Chicago. So you had Jessica and Grace come in from Chicago, put on arguably the two best battles, two best performances of the night. And then I know I said we don't plan in advance, but this is a happy accident. This is actually working out because we're about to record another episode that'll be coming out next week. And we are going to see on that episode Jessica versus Grace. 3 days after this happened, they went back to Chicago. Jessica, the undercard champion, Grace, the main event champion. Both, well, Jessica, I guess at that point was not undefeated because she lost to Dan, which we discussed was a controversial decision. So one loss, Jessica Misra, undefeated Grace Leichmann, both titles on the line. They did it 3 days after the Halloween event, and we will be checking that out next week. But for now, this is all we have. This is the end of RBL 1. Volume 1 at the Comedy Store, the mega Halloween event. Do you have any closing thoughts on the event or the future of Roast Battle League and these types of get-togethers?
Honestly, all I can think about is how excited I am to watch Grace and Jessica's battle after this. So that's I can't.
Okay.
Yep.
That works. It was good.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. I have not seen that battle either. I'm looking forward to it as well. As a cap to this Roast Battle League event, I just want to say thank you to everybody who participated, everybody who watched it. We're still figuring out the best way to do this moving forward in terms of live streaming, in terms of video. How are we going to put all these pieces together to make it the best possible event? This was very much a test,
yes,
a soft open kind of deal where we just had this dream to get these people from all over the world into one room to battle each other. And having seen the footage, because I was out of town, having now seen it all, I'm so excited to do more of them. I'm so excited to figure out how to make this thing work, because people from all over the globe came and they showed out and they had performances that I feel like a proud dad, dude. I really do. Great job, everybody involved, and thank you for doing it.
Yes, I now I've had a minute for let my excitement quell, and I also want to thank the battlers for their patience that night. It was hectic for me, and I thought everybody did a really awesome job of working together, being understanding, and going up there and just absolutely crushing.
Yep. So kudos to everybody involved. Thank you guys again. And thank you for watching RBL Weekly. That's the end of this week's episode. But we will be back next week when we return to our normal format.
Your social media is back.
My social media is back. Yes. I told you guys last week that my hackers took my stuff out. I got it all back. So in the meantime, I did start a new Instagram. So now I have 2 Instagrams. You can follow me at Pat Barker Comedy or at the Pat Barker. I don't know which one I'm posted for. Just follow them both. And you never lost yours.
I'm Sarah Keller 07.
Sarah Keller 07. So follow us on there. Follow at Roast Battle. RBL Commish is back too. My RBL Commissioner account. I have to get back to doing that, but you can follow it for sure at RBL Commish. Hop on there, do that, and we'll see you guys next week on RBL Weekly.